Smoking doesn't destroy you in a dramatic way. That's why it works. It doesn't collapse your life. It slowly convinces you that collapse isn't happening. You wake up functional, you go to work, you perform your duties. And yet, somewhere beneath that routine, something is quietly diminishing. Not your health first, not your money first, but your tolerance for weakness. Because every time relief is chosen over resistance, the body learns who is really in charge. And one day, without a clear moment of failure, you realize control has already changed hands. If this resonates, subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Keep walking with us. Most smokers don't believe they are weak. They believe they are busy, stressed, or simply human. Modern life quietly teaches this belief early. You are told that stress is unavoidable, that pressure requires release, that adulthood comes with compromises, small vices you're allowed to keep as long as you function. No one says it directly. It is absorbed through repetition. You see intelligent people smoke. Successful people drink. Responsible adults excuse habits by calling them balance. And over time, a subtle myth forms. If you can still work, still provide, still show up, then nothing is really wrong. Another belief follows closely behind it, that quitting is about willpower, and willpower is something you either have or you don't. This is where shame quietly enters. Because when quitting feels difficult, the conclusion isn't, "This system was designed to trap me." The conclusion becomes, "There must be something wrong with me." So the mind adjusts its expectations downward. I'll quit later. This isn't the worst habit. At least I'm not like others. These sentences are not laziness. They are psychological self-protection. Shame doesn't push people to change. It teaches them to hide. And modern culture is very good at hiding discomfort behind productivity. You are rewarded for output, not inner order. As long as you deliver results, no one asks who is in control beneath the surface. So the false belief system completes itself. If you are functioning, you are fine. If quitting is hard, it's a personal flaw. If you fail once, it means you are not the type of person who can change. None of these beliefs are true, but they are socially reinforced. And when a belief is shared by millions, it stops feeling like a belief at all. It feels like reality. This is why intelligent, responsible adults remain trapped for years, not because they lack discipline, but because they were trained to misidentify the problem. The habit isn't the failure. The misunderstanding is.
His name is Daniel. He is not failing at life. That is what makes everything harder to explain. Daniel is 34. He wakes up at the same time every morning, prepares for work, and leaves his apartment before the streets get loud. He doesn't rush. He doesn't complain. His job is stable, not inspiring, but respectable. He answers emails, attends meetings, completes tasks that matter just enough to keep things moving. From the outside, his life looks organized. Inside, it feels crowded. Daniel smokes in the small spaces between responsibilities, on the balcony before work, outside the building during breaks, in the quiet stretch of evening when nothing is demanded of him anymore. He tells himself it helps him think, that it slows things down, but the truth is more subtle. Smoking gives his hands something to do when his mind doesn't want to sit still. Daniel is tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. Not exhausted, just dulled, as if his edge has been sanded down over time. He notices it in small moments, when climbing stairs leaves him breathing harder than it should, when conversations feel slightly delayed, like his thoughts arrive a second too late, when he chooses silence instead of speaking, not because he lacks an opinion, but because effort feels heavier than it used to. He doesn't talk about this. There is no crisis to justify it, no dramatic failure to point to, so he keeps moving. At work, he compares himself quietly to others, people his age who seem sharper, more decisive, more alive. He wonders when that difference started. At night, he scrolls through videos about discipline, routines, improvement. He watches people explain how to take control of your life in 10 minutes or less. He understands the logic, none of it sounds wrong, but when the video ends, nothing changes. Daniel doesn't hate himself, that's not the problem. He's frustrated by something harder to name, the feeling that he is always responding, never directing. Stress comes, he smokes. Boredom comes, he smokes. Tension builds, he smokes. Not because he wants to, because the sequence is already written. He doesn't feel addicted, he feels managed, as if his day is a series of cues and his body knows exactly what to do without asking him anymore. Sometimes, standing alone on the balcony, cigarette burning down between his fingers, Daniel wonders, when was the last time I chose discomfort on purpose? The question doesn't stay long. The smoke fills his lungs, the feeling fades, and tomorrow the routine continues. Not broken, not dramatic, just quietly unresolved. The moment doesn't happen during a crisis. It happens on an ordinary afternoon. Daniel is walking back to his office after lunch. The air is warm, the street is busy but familiar. He reaches into his pocket and realizes he's out of cigarettes. There's a convenience store half a block away. He knows it without thinking. For a brief second, something inside him hesitates. Not a moral debate, not a promise to quit, just a quiet thought. I don't actually want one right now. The thought surprises him. He keeps walking. 3 steps later, his body slows down. His attention drifts. The idea of returning to work without smoking feels incomplete. Not painful, just uncomfortable. He stops, stands there longer than necessary, and then, without any dramatic internal argument, he turns around and walks toward the store. Inside, he reaches for the same brand he always buys. His hand doesn't shake, his heart rate doesn't change. The transaction is smooth, automatic. When he steps back outside and lights the cigarette, the relief comes quickly, too quickly. And in that instant, before the smoke even reaches his lungs, Daniel feels something crack. Not guilt, recognition. He realizes that the decision was never really his. There was no conscious choice, no internal command. The body moved, the mind followed. Standing there, cigarette burning down, Daniel feels smaller than he did 5 minutes ago. Not because he smoked, but because he didn't even try to resist. He thinks of all the ways he sees himself, responsible, capable, self-aware, and none of those identities showed up when it mattered. There is no anger in the realization, just a quiet disappointment, a sense that something essential has been misplaced over time. He finishes the cigarette slower than usual. The relief is still there, but thinner, hollowed out. As he crushes the cigarette under his shoe, a thought settles in that doesn't leave easily. If I can't pause for 30 seconds, what else am I not actually choosing? That question follows him back to his desk, through the afternoon, through the evening commute. It doesn't accuse him, it doesn't demand change, it simply stays. And for the first time in a long while, Daniel understands something clearly. The problem isn't the habit, it's the absence of inner resistance. And without resistance, there is no strength, only momentum.
After that afternoon, Daniel doesn't spiral. He doesn't panic. He does what most reasonable adults do. He tries to fix himself. That evening, he searches for answers with quiet determination. How to quit smoking, build discipline, break bad habits. The internet responds instantly. Articles, videos, programs. Everything is framed as progress. Daniel learns about streaks, tracking apps, replacement habits, cold turkey versus gradual reduction. Some advice is aggressive, some is compassionate. All of it sounds intelligent. He downloads an app that counts smoke-free hours. The numbers feel reassuring at first, clean, objective. He sets rules for himself. No smoking before noon, no smoking at work, only one in the evening. The first few days go well, not because it's easy, but because novelty creates momentum. He feels a quiet pride checking the app, seeing the timer reset, watching small digital badges appear. But then, life resumes its natural rhythm. A stressful meeting, an unexpected delay, a long commute home. The urge returns, not as desire, but as familiarity. Daniel resists once, twice, and then one evening, he doesn't. The app resets to 0. The disappointment isn't dramatic, it's dull. He tells himself it's normal, that relapse is part of the process. So he tries something else. He watches productivity videos late at night, people with calm voices explaining discipline systems, morning routines, mindset shifts. He writes notes, saves clips. He buys nicotine gum, then patches. Each solution promises relief from discomfort or control through structure. Each one assumes the same thing, that the problem is effort. So Daniel applies effort. He plans, he schedules, he monitors, and yet the pattern repeats. Some days are strong, some days quietly collapse. What changes isn't the habit, it's his patience. Information keeps accumulating, but transformation doesn't. Over time, something subtle happens. Daniel stops trusting methods, then systems, then himself. Not because he isn't trying, but because nothing seems to reach the moment where choice actually disappears. Every solution fails at the same point, the moment between impulse and action. That gap remains unguarded. Late one night, scrolling through yet another video promising mental toughness, Daniel pauses the screen. He leans back, and for the first time, he admits something without frustration or drama. I don't need more knowledge. I don't need another method. I don't even need more motivation. What I lack isn't intensity. It's a way of being present before the decision is made. The problem isn't that he doesn't want to quit. The problem is that every solution arrives after the body has already decided, and no amount of information can reverse a decision that was never consciously made. This realization doesn't solve anything yet, but it clears the noise. And in that quiet, Daniel becomes ready, not for another tactic, but for a different way of understanding control itself.
Daniel doesn't discover the idea while searching for it. It appears indirectly. One quiet weekend morning, he is reading an article about traditional samurai training. Not combat, not battles, but preparation. The article mentions something briefly, almost in passing. A warrior was never judged by how fiercely he fought, but by how steady he remained before action. The Japanese called this state fudoshin, an unshaken mind. Not a calm mind, not an empty mind, a mind that does not move when impulses arrive. Daniel reads the line twice. What strikes him isn't the discipline, it's the timing. The samurai did not train strength at the moment of attack. They trained stillness before movement. In modern life, Daniel realizes, everything is reversed. He has been trying to change himself after the urge appears, after the craving tightens his chest, after the body leans forward. But Fudoshin describes something else entirely. It is not resistance through force, it is resistance through presence. A samurai did not argue with impulse. He did not negotiate with desire. He simply did not move. Not because he was stronger, but because his identity was not reactive. Daniel thinks back to the convenience store. There was a pause, a small one, but it was untrained, so the body filled it. Fudo explains every failure without accusing him. It shows that discipline isn't about suppressing habits. It's about where the mind is positioned before the habit asks. He sees now why systems fail, why apps didn't help, why motivation vanished. They all assumed control begins at decision, but the samurai understood something deeper. Control begins before the decision is even necessary. The enemy was never nicotine, it was reactivity. The moment the body learned it could move first and the mind would justify later, authority was lost. Fudo restores authority quietly, not by promising strength, but by removing urgency. Daniel doesn't feel inspired, he feels oriented. For the first time, quitting smoking doesn't look like a battle, it looks like a posture. Stand still, observe the impulse, do nothing. Not forever, just long enough to remain the one who decides. This insight doesn't give him confidence, it gives him clarity. And clarity is something impulse cannot overpower.
Fudo does not ask Daniel to quit smoking. That is what makes it different. It asks him to stop rushing toward relief. This distinction changes everything. Daniel begins to understand that what he lacks is not discipline, but a stable internal position. In the samurai world, posture came before technique. If the stance was unstable, no sword skill could save the warrior. Modern life teaches the opposite. Act quickly, react faster, solve discomfort immediately. Fudo interrupts this reflex. It is not a rule, it is an orientation. The mind does not chase outcomes, it holds ground. Daniel realizes this philosophy cannot be applied selectively. It is not something you use when tempted. It is something you live before temptation arises. When he is rested, he practices stillness. When he is stressed, he practices stillness. When nothing is happening, he practices stillness. Not as meditation, not as self-control, as identity. This is where the system forms. Mindset shifts first. Discomfort is no longer a problem to eliminate. It is a signal to remain present. Process replaces goals. There is no countdown to quitting, no finish line, only repeated moments of non-movement. Pace becomes slower by design. Daniel stops demanding visible progress. He measures success by one thing only. Did I remain steady? Purpose clarifies naturally. He is no longer trying to become a non-smoker. He is becoming someone who does not abandon himself under pressure. The samurai did not train to win a fight. They trained to never lose posture. Smoking was never Daniel's central struggle. It was simply the clearest place where posture collapsed. With Fudo the body learns something new. Urges can appear, and nothing has to happen. No argument, no suppression, just stillness. This system offers no excitement, no breakthroughs, but it restores something far more important: authority. Not over habits, over reaction itself. Daniel does not announce any change. There is no declaration, no commitment shared with others. He simply adjusts how he meets discomfort. The practices are almost unimpressive. When the urge to smoke appears, he does not negotiate with it. He does not distract himself. He stops. He stands still, sometimes physically, sometimes internally. He notices the tightness in his chest, the restlessness in his hands, the subtle urgency that says, "Move now." And he does nothing.
not forever, just long enough to remain present. Sometimes it lasts 30 seconds, sometimes 2 minutes. Sometimes he fails. And when he does not punish himself. He returns to stillness at the next opportunity. There is no tracking system, no streak to protect, only repetition. In the morning, he practices not reaching for his phone immediately. He sits on the edge of the bed and breathes before movement. At work, when tension rises, he lets it exist without solving it. In the evening, he resists the urge to reward himself for surviving the day. None of this feels productive. There are no visible results, no feedback loop. Some days feel worse than before. His mind doubts the process. This is where most people quit, because nothing is happening on the surface, but something is changing underneath. The body is relearning that impulse does not require action. Each small pause is a rehearsal. Each non-reaction strengthens the same internal muscle. Progress remains invisible precisely because it is structural. The samurai never measured training by how they felt that day. They measured it by whether posture remained intact under pressure. Daniel begins to understand this. He stops asking, "Is this working?" He starts asking, "Did I stay steady?" That question is always answerable. And over time, the answer changes more often than he expects.
Nothing changes all at once. Weeks pass. Daniel still smokes, but less predictably. Not because he restricts himself, but because the impulse no longer owns the timeline. Some days he realizes he hasn't smoked until late afternoon. Not intentionally, it simply didn't come with the same urgency. His breathing becomes deeper without him noticing at first. He climbs stairs and reaches the top less winded. More importantly, his internal pace shifts. He responds slower to emails, to stress, to irritation. Not from laziness, but from control. The pauses he practiced with cigarettes begin to appear elsewhere. When a conversation becomes tense, he listens instead of preparing a defense. When frustration rises, he doesn't rush to escape it. This steadiness feels unfamiliar. There is no surge of confidence, no sense of victory, but there is order. Daniel begins trusting himself again, not because he always succeeds, but because he knows where to return when he doesn't. Smoking gradually loses its emotional function. It no longer feels like relief, just a behavior. And behaviors without emotional fuel eventually fade. Months later, he notices something quietly significant. When the urge appears, it no longer commands attention. It feels distant, optional. His body still remembers smoking, but it doesn't demand it. Daniel hasn't quit in the dramatic sense. There was no final cigarette. The habit simply weakened as something stronger took its place. Presence. This is what transformation looks like when it's real. Not a breakthrough, a reorganization. And reorganization lasts.
At some point, Daniel stops thinking about quitting. Not because he succeeded, but because the question no longer defines him. He notices the shift one morning without ceremony. The urge appears, as it sometimes still does, and instead of asking, "Will I smoke or not?" a different thought arises. Can I remain steady right now? That question feels lighter, more honest. Daniel understands something that had been hidden from him for years. He was never chasing cigarettes. He was chasing relief, certainty, an end point, a moment where effort could stop. And that mindset had quietly shaped everything else in his life: work, relationships, self-respect. He was living as someone waiting to arrive. Now he no longer measures himself by outcomes, not by days smoke-free, not by streaks, not by visible milestones. He measures himself by posture. Did I stay present when discomfort arrived? Did I resist the urge to escape myself? This changes how he sees discipline. Discipline is no longer force, it is continuity. No longer motivation dependent, no longer dramatic, just practiced. Daniel doesn't see himself as someone who beat a habit. He sees himself as a practitioner, someone who returns to stillness again and again. And in that repetition, identity settles, not as a non-smoker, but as someone who does not abandon himself under pressure.
There is no final scene where everything resolves, no victory moment, no announcement. Life continues. Urges still appear. Stress still exists. Discomfort still visits. The difference is simple. Daniel no longer treats these moments as problems to escape. They are places to stand. This path does not demand perfection. It does not require you to quit anything today. It asks something quieter. To notice the moment before movement. To remain present when the body wants to rush. To choose posture over relief. The samurai never chased control. They cultivated it, slowly, invisibly. You can do the same. Not by forcing change, but by refusing to abandon yourself when it matters. If you're here, listening, something in you already knows this. You don't need to be convinced. You only need to stay. Walk carefully, return often. The path is not dramatic, but it is real.